Yes.
Okay.
I've been doing this, I've been working in this industry for 25 years. This is the most phenomenal place I've ever worked with. I absolutely love it out here. And I love the people that I work with. I will tell you that my daughter used to dance, and she did ballet and a couple of other things. She started when she was 4 years old and stopped when she was in college. I was going to try a couple of pirouettes, but then I decided not to do that. The first thing we are going to do, well, first of all, again, thank you all for coming out. On your seats, there is an index card. As we go through the presentations, if you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and write them on the index cards. We will collect them, and then we'll go ahead and go through them and read them and answer them. If you all don't have a pen on you, we've got pens outside. You can go grab one. And it's just, again, I know the weather is lousy. I really appreciate you all coming out. I'm going to kind of stand over here because I need to be able to see the screens, but I'm trying also not to be in anyone's way. So this is the agenda for the Master Association. If you've been to these before, either in person or Zoom, you know that there's not a lot that has to be done here. But the one official bit of business we need to do is we need to introduce the Master Board members. And yes, I do have cheat sheets. I'm sorry, but I still have to use cheat sheets. We have Brian Dolezal. He's our board president, but he's also on the Master Board. Greg Weaver and Jessica Reynolds. She is the secretary. Greg is the vice president. Karen Sharp is one of our newer residential members on the board. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here tonight. We've got Joe Denton, who's on like every board and committee there is out here. Carl Paulson and Faye Day. That is our master board. The next bit of business we have to do, and when you came in, you should have gotten a packet of about 4 or 5 pages. In there are the minutes from last year's meeting. Now, I know you have what went on in last year's meeting completely memorized to heart, but if not, you can take a look at that. I'll give you all a few minutes, and then I would like a motion and a second to approve those minutes, and then a show of hands from everyone else. So do I have a motion to approve the 2022 annual meeting minutes? I've got a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Now, this is the agenda for the main part of the meeting. This is our mixed-use board, and they are all sitting up here. And we have Brian again, who's on the mixed-use board. He's almost as bad as Joe. Okay, I'm going to repeat a couple of these names again. Jessica, Sergio Negretti, Kathy Soko, Francie, who is not here, and Adrian Clements, who is over there. And this is the board that we are voting for this time around for members. We have 3 people running. One of them, Raj, is not able to be here tonight. I'm going to say a couple of words for him on his behalf, but I'm going to let the other candidates just speak for a few minutes. Okay. And again, we have to approve the minutes, or one more. We have to approve the minutes from last year's meeting. So again, you have them in your packet. If you would take a minute to look them over. One more.
Do we have quorum? Joe,
All right.
do we have quorum?
Yes, I'll not say in a minute. Are there anyone who wants to approve the minutes from the last year's mixed-use meeting? All right, we have a motion and a second. Second. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I did not adjourn the master meeting. I apologize for that, but consider us adjourned. And I do want to tell you that we have achieved quorum for tonight's meeting. We actually have a quorum requirement of 25% votes and proxies, not counting any that we may have received tonight, which we'll include in it as we go through the vote. We have 36.17% of the quorum. So I appreciate everybody voting. I hope the online process was easy for you. Most of the people, we had over 760 people vote online. So that was it. And the really good thing about that is they provide all the details to us and we don't have to go through 760 ballots to figure it out. So that's really helpful. Okay. Flip it again, please. Once more. And I apologize about having my back to you, but I've got to be able to see the screen so I know what I'm talking about. We have two groups that I've asked to come out here and speak to you briefly tonight. One is Urban Dirt, and we have Michael Williams and Sean is out here. Sean's been on this property since the very beginning. Okay, Hector's here either. Also, I didn't see him earlier. And I just want them to speak to you a couple of minutes about what the process has been like for them, what they have enjoyed about the community, and what challenges they have faced. So Michael, you want to come on up, please? And Michael is an expert speaker and everything, so prepare to be totally thrilled.
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry.
Thank you for that, Joe. Hi, everybody. So my apologies first. I am not a public speaker. I'm a landscape contractor, so I'm probably going to have shaky voice and all of that. But Joe, thanks for having us tonight for sure. So my name is Mike Williams. I'm the vice president at Urban Dirt, and I'm thrilled to be here to talk to y'all tonight for a few minutes. So, but most important for me is I think it's important that you all see the faces, or at least a couple of the faces that have really done a lot of the heavy lifting right here. But we have Sean Eulenfeld and Hector. I know Joe mentioned them earlier, but yeah, y'all stand up. Those guys, I'm the one up here talking, but those guys deserve all of the credit by all means. So thank you. And then second, I definitely want to thank Joe and Roger and Brian. I know I've met a handful of y'all too as well, but thank you. It's been a pleasure the last year getting to know y'all and working closely with y'all to accomplish a lot. And I think we have accomplished a lot. First and foremost, so last fall we were super excited to learn that we were going to get to work with y'all in this community. We've wanted to work with this community for a really long time. You're one of the biggest, most premier communities in Austin, and we're proud to be able to work with y'all. And we're excited to learn that we would be able to. So we had expectations and plans about what it would be like to work here, and last fall we started putting those plans in motion. So that whenever we started the season, that we'd be off on the right foot. I think we talked many times about what's the plan, what's the first thing we're going to do, and then the first thing that happened was Mother Nature turned all of those plans upside down in early February, and we had to go back to the drawing board with an unprecedented winter storm. And so we shifted gears and we got to work cleaning up and shoring up and making safe and disposing of untold amounts of storm damage, and it was a lot of work, and we appreciate y'all's patience with us as we work through all of that stuff. I think that we're in a better place now. It's been kind of a long season starting out that way, but I think we are in a good place now. And so as we finish, we're nearing the end of our first full year with y'all. And so we're wrapping up, I think, on a really positive note. But some of the highlights of what we've been able to do, aside from the storm cleanup stuff, was we just recently wrapped up planting nearly 200 trees, some replacements for trees that were damaged and broken, some that were dead, some that probably have been missing for some time, but we planted nearly 200 trees more recently, and I think there's more to come, I believe. We've completed some smaller projects in some of the parks and trail improvements, those type of things. I think we've laid the foundation for a successful winter and spring season, and we've spent a lot of time talking with the management and development team about what the plans are for the future, what we can do to make Mueller better year over year over year. And I feel like we've really spent, we've done the work on the front end to plan and prepare, and we're just excited to see what 2024 brings, and we're excited to be a part of it. So thank you all.
The second group we have here is kind of an entourage of sorts. This is SRT, our security team. I hope that you have seen the green and yellow car driving around. They're here 7 days a week, and they've done a really good job. I've got a really good rapport with them, which I appreciate. And I'm not quite sure who's going to speak.
If I can do this, okay, maybe. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is John Robinson, and I'm one of the area managers for SRT Security here in Austin. It's been a real pleasure serving this community. We've done some really good things. We've reduced a lot of the graffiti that we've had out there in our skate park and on the property. We've also been able to curb some of our homeless issues, where we've had vagrants come in and start camping out, not wanting to leave. But in conjunction with the Austin Police Department, we've been able to remove a lot of those folks. It's a true pleasure to be part of this community and be out here. I'll make sure that my information is given to Joe, and it can be passed on to each of you all in the event that if there's an issue, if there's something wrong with security, you can let me know. One thing that we want to do is remain proactive and make sure that we're making everyone happy and doing a good job for y'all. So with that, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And just for your information, if anyone needs to reach them, there is a phone number on the side of their car, which is what needs to be used. We've published it before, we'll publish it again. So just, that's the best way to reach them. If you happen to see them driving around the street, say hi. If it's a question strictly related to security, that's fine, but most of the questions we want to hold until the end, but since they're here now. Yes, ma'am, to the back.
Why would we call them rather than 311 or 911?
The advantage to calling them is if it's during their working hours, which vary from day to day, they are here, they can respond really quickly, but there's no problem with calling 311, and obviously if it's an emergency situation, 911 is always what you should do first. But again, if you want to get in touch with them, ask them to check something, that phone number on the side of the car and what we publish is the best way to get in touch with them directly. That goes directly to the officer in the car. And again, with as big as we are, we can be 5 minutes away from anything we need to do. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry?
Could someone repeat their phone number?
Yes, I said we've done it before and we'll continue to do it, absolutely.
Right now, you have the number.
I don't have it on. Do you guys know it? They're looking it up. That has to be.
There we go. Okay, the phone number to call is 737-346-9100, and our officer is on site between 5 p.m. and 1 a.m. 7 days a week.
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
737-346-9100.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, just one, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We've had multiple incidents of breaking into our postal boxes, and this has happened multiple times, and it's at the courtyards in Threadgill and Emerald Window, or between Threadgill and Emerald Window. We really need somebody to be in that area. I'm not sure that it's taking place during those hours. We're usually out there at least around those hours, but something's happening.
Yeah, and that does happen, and it's not only this community, it happens all over. They're a real easy target for people. The first thing I would do is let 311 know. And also, we can get with them, but also contact the post office so they can come out and rekey it and relock it and all of that for you too. Okay. All right, I am going to let them head out if they want to, but I do want to mention specifically that if you like the bundt cakes, they brought them out for y'all. That's the biggest round of applause so far. Okay, hang on right there. All right, we have 3 candidates running, and I'm doing this now because it'll give you an opportunity to vote. First of all, is there anyone here in this room that either has not voted or has turned in a vote this evening? Okay, so, all right, okay, all right. We have 3 candidates. I'm going to give 2 of them who are here just a couple of minutes to introduce themselves. Probably you know them already, but we'll do it anyway. And they can speak a little bit about what they feel that they bring to the mixed use board. We're going to start with Andrew, by virtue of his last name.
Good evening. It's an honor to serve you. I've been on the mixed use board for a year, and I would like to re-up. I've lived in Mueller since 2013. I think I've shown my commitment by serving on the Neighborhood Association Steering Committee. I've organized some of the big events. I've done the 4th of July 2 or 3 times, or maybe 4 times, and the Fall Fest a couple of times. I really believe in the tenets, the 6 tenets of Mueller. And I think most of us that have, especially the pioneers and the people that moved here early, probably moved here because of those tenets or what they caused to occur here that was really great. I think we're a little bit of a victim of our own success, and that I think a lot of people are moving here now just because it's a great place to live and it's kind of a hot place to live. And I want us to have an education process of making sure they know the tenets and why Mueller is such a special, walkable, mixed-use, dense place, and continue those tenets. And obviously the next year is such a big deal because we have a little over a year to become responsible for doing everything that Catellus does now. And that's scary and exciting at the same time. So I think the work of the transition committee that I'm also serving on is immensely important in the upcoming year, and why I would like to serve again, because I expect to and will remain very active on that transition committee and effort. And I encourage all of y'all to look at ways to get involved with the committees that are being formed, and then also inform those of us that are serving on the transition committee. Probably we'll start having meetings too, so we can get more people involved. So thank you.
Thank you. First, I want to thank everyone for being here, and also to...
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Joe Denton. And I think I probably have met most of y'all here, and there's a few that are faces that I have not seen before, and I hope to be able to get to meet you. I've been, Betsy reminded me recently that we moved in November of, right around Thanksgiving of 15 years ago. So we were part of the Pioneer program and put our money on the lottery, and here we are. It's been a great community. We've been active since the very beginning. One of the first things I got involved in was with the landscape committee, and I've been on the committee ever since the beginning. I've tried to get involved in a lot of other ways in terms of the budget and the transition and everything, and I've been on this will be my, I started with the first term that I served was just for a half year when I took over the term for Jeff Lucy when he left and moved away from Texas, and then subsequently reelected. And I really like this neighborhood tremendously. It's just I like the walkability. I like the community. I like all the neighborliness that people have. And I really enjoy that. The community we lived in before, we knew our neighbors, but moving over here, we know neighbors blocks and blocks away. And that's just such a tremendous thing to have a community like that. And I want to see that community continue to build and grow. and to be really the shining star, I think, for Austin and for Texas, really, because this is an experiment with the new urbanism and with the community as it is, and the complexity of this community, because we have 3 boards, and it's a very complex. You have the commercial, you have the residential, you also have the renters, and so it's just a very complex. And you have the condo association, so it's a very complex neighborhood as well. I appreciate all your support in the past, and I will do my best to do what I can in the future. Thank you.
And as I mentioned, there is a third candidate, and that's Raj Krishna. He unfortunately had an obligation that he could not break and be here tonight. He did want me to let you know that he's very excited about the possibility of serving this community and working with it in any way he can. He's been on boards before, so he's familiar with how they operate. He feels that he can work well with groups of people to try and get things accomplished. So he would like the opportunity to be able to serve on this board also. I asked a question before, and I'm going to rephrase it now. Is there anyone that has not voted as of yet? Okay, if you would keep your hands up. Roger or someone, can you go get some ballots, please, that are on that sign-in desk and hand them out? And then at a point in time, we will go ahead and collect them and add them to the vote count. Okay, next slide, please. All right, I'm going to go through these slides fairly quickly because most of you, if you've been to any of these meetings before, have seen them. In addition, we're going to put this presentation on Town Square, so you'll be able to look at it at your leisure. But basically, we have several different groups working with this community. We have the Mueller Community Association, the POA. It's made up of 3 associations: the Master Association, the ECTC, which is the Commercial Association, and the Mixed Use Group. Associate is the management company who manages the community with the staff we have on hand. We are associate employees, but we also work for the community itself. Catella's Development is obviously the group that developed the direct declarant for the association. They're the ones who have done all this wonderful work in getting this community put together. And again, this is such an exciting community. Most of my experience has been in suburbia. This is phenomenal. I just love coming out here every day and doing what I get to do. The Mueller Commission, and it is a city council appointed group that works with the association. We have I'm sorry, Brian, what is it? The Mueller Master Plan? What's the city agreement?
MDA.
Master Development Agreement.
The Mueller Development Agreement that we use and we work with the city on. So that is one of the things that this group deals with. And then, of course, we have the Mueller Neighborhood Association that Andrew was talking about. So it's a group of different groups of people that work together to make Mueller what it is. Next. This is our organizational chart, and like I said, basically we've got the Master Association, Mixed Use, the ECTC, and others that fall in line but below that. Okay. I announced most of the people on both the Master Board and the Mixed Use Board. For the ECTC Board, we've got Greg Weaver, Brian, you're hearing these names a couple of times, I get it, Leo Lopez, who's with the developer, Deborah Brown, who's with Dell's Children, and Stephen Harris, who's with the University of Texas. That's the board for the ECTC, the Commercial Association. Okay. What does the association do? We basically work with the residents and the boards to handle the day-to-day operations of the community. Landscaping, irrigation, repairing row homes, and things along that line. We have a large group of items that we take care of. We handle emergency situations, insurance, and things along that line. What is my role? My role is to basically carry out the vision of the board as best I possibly can. Work with the residents to get things resolved and help them out in situations where they need the help. I handle, to a certain degree, I handle financials. And by the way, behind me over here is Beck. And Beck is my accountant. And without Beck, I'd be in deep trouble. She does so much work for me so that I don't have to, and I can spend it doing other things. I work with the procurement of vendors, maintenance, and things along that line. So I just kind of oversee all the other groups that I work with. Roger, would you stand up, please? And Tom, would you stand up? Roger Van Howen is our landscape manager. He has been a phenomenal find for me. I will tell you that I worked with him 5 years, with him for 5 years in another community, and I begged him to come on board, and he did. Tom Hoff is our maintenance guy. He's the one who goes out there and takes care of everything that breaks. And yeah, so, and I deal with the internal, external communications also. Okay. And like I said, I'm Joe Restuccio, I'm the community manager. That's Roger Van Howen. He's the landscape manager. I've got Tatenda over there, who is our receptionist. Stand up, please. And if you call or email, she's one of the person that can receive stuff from me. I've introduced Tom. I've introduced Beck, Vinton, and where is?
She's directing people.
Okay. We have Cannon out there, and yes, I spelled her name wrong, so I'm glad she's not here. She won't see it. But they are our porters, and they do a phenomenal job in keeping this community clean. It's amazing how I don't want to say dirty, but how much stuff goes on that they need to clean up. And I'm really, really proud of working with them. They do a great job. And the way they're scheduled to split up, we do have them out here 7 days a week. Hang on. We're currently in the, no, back up one, please. Now go forward one. She's a really, really good accountant. I'm sorry. All right, so we are in the process of searching. You have to understand, I have a very dry sense of humor, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's all in humor. I love the people I work with. This is one of the greatest staffs I've had to work with in, like I said, over 25 years. We're in the process of trying to locate a community manager who is going to dedicate themselves to the row homes. They're going to be first in line with all the communications, taking care of problems, looking at the row homes to make sure that they're being managed properly, or they're in good shape as far as the condition of the properties, the landscaping, and all of that, even though we've got other people that handle that too. They're also going to be helping me work with them on the process of paying bills and things along that line, and also helping to schedule meetings. And so I'm very, very much looking forward to getting this person. My main goal is to be able to deal with the board and the high level items. And anybody that I have underneath me that can take regular day-to-day chores away from me, not that I'm not capable of doing them, but chores away from me, that will leave me more time to do that, to dedicate both to the existing board and the new board. So I'm really excited about the possibility of having this person on. I'm not trying to get rid of responsibility, actually I am. But it's just going to be a huge help to me. It really is, and it will be very, very beneficial to not only row home residents, because we will be able to pay a little bit more attention to them as we go on, but to the whole community. They're going to be working in a couple of different areas, so I'm really looking forward to this person coming on board. Okay.
Yeah, you ready?
Next. Okay, so this is part of my report. This year, we did hire Tatenda and Roger, which have been great, great assets to us, and Cannon. We brought in Urban Dirt, and they've done a good job. And I will tell you, the first year I was here, before Urban Dirt came around, we received numerous complaints about the landscape company that we had previously. With Urban Dirt, we are getting primarily compliments. Yes, they miss something once in a while, but we are getting primarily compliments, and they and Roger are an integral part of that. We did some restaining on the row homes. We did some restaining. We took a group of row homes that had a lot of metal features to them and had those repainted. We had a little bit of a problem with lifeguards this year because for whatever reason, it's really hard to hire lifeguards, even though the team we have paid them well. But we worked through that process and got that taken care of. We replaced pool equipment at El Wooten, and one of the other things that we've done is the waterscape at Branch Park. That is such a used entity for everybody. And we're having some issues with it that we're working towards getting straightened out. We've gotten a lot of the repairs done already, and we will be doing additional repairs later on this year while the feature is shut down for the winter. This is something Tom does, going through the process of looking for picnic tables, benches, and things like that have to be refurbished, and he takes care of that. These are some of the projects that we either are working on or have completed. The waterfalls at Southwest Greenway, we've had some issues with them, but we've gotten new pumps in the system and they're working. We have to tweak them every now and then, which is what we're doing now, but when they run, they look phenomenal. And this last week, we'll have them running constantly and perfectly. They look really neat. If you haven't had a chance to see them lately, please do so. Again, we did some work out at Branch Park already. What we're doing in the future is we're adding foot sensors that hopefully will work and turn the water on and off when it's supposed to. We've got sand filters out there, just like you do at a regular pool. We're going to replace the sand in the filters. We have some multi-port valves, which just are primarily involved when we have to backwash the system, and that'll be replaced. And we're going to be doing some leak testing on the underground piping. If you have not seen Nessie lately, please go look at her. She was refurbished, and she is in a full glory right now. She looks absolutely phenomenal. I love going out to that statue and looking at it. The woman, Dixie Friend, who was the original artist on that statue, came out and helped refurbish her, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. She really, really does. The Paggy Square Fountain Waterfall, whatever you want to call it, is now working again. It wasn't for some time. We've got that working again. And that, by the way, just for your information, that's the same company that's doing the water feature at Branch Park. We've replaced the slide in one of the big slides in the Lake Park Playscape. We have electronic locks on 2 of our bathrooms now. One's at the skate park, and the ones we recently installed are at Jess Andrews. And we're currently power washing the old, if you will, the old Paseo from B.D. Riley's down to Thinkery, because we have birds out there, and birds make a mess. So we go out there every so often and clean them. Right now, the birds aren't around so much. We're down to once a week. We have done it as much as 3 times a week. But there's a lot of people that use that area, that eat outside and everything. We want to keep it as clean as possible. So that's one of the projects is ongoing right now. For next year, we have this little issue with a hailstorm, and we have to replace a lot of roofs. So that's one of the things we're working with right now. Again, I talked to you about the property manager that we're trying to hire for the row homes. We have a lot of requests coming into us for different things. I'm just going to say it, Brian may not like it, I'm going to say it, but unfortunately we have so many ways for people to contact us, and they tend to use them all at the same time. So where we catch it on one end, we miss it on another, but anyway, we are doing our best right now to keep up with it as much as possible. Most of you may know that Ayana Sosa, who was my right-hand person, has left. So we're down a person right now. We're trying to fill that position also. So we're doing as much as we can, and we'll continue to move forward. Besides, we had the budget coming up that we had to work on, and a number of other things. So if we've been a little bit slower than normal, we will improve on that, and that's one of my main goals throughout all of next year. Like the landscape people said, that we planted a number of trees so far this year. We should be finished up with it probably by the end of this week, which is tomorrow, depending on rain. But we have more trees that will be coming in. One of the issues we're having is there are not many good trees out there, because everybody had trees frozen and everybody's trying to replace them. So we're doing the best we can on that. We are getting the process completed where we are going to be able to go out and do deed restriction inspections, and primarily on the yard homes, obviously, because that's where the homeowner is responsible for their properties. We're going to get trees replaced, making sure the yards are mowed properly and things along that line. But we will now have a fining policy in place, and trust me, we don't want to fine anyone. And in most cases, when we send these letters out, before we ever get to the fining situation, on average, 80% of the requests for improvement are done. So we don't fine a lot of people. We're not doing it because we want to make money off of them. It's just for those who struggle a little bit, it's an added incentive to take care of things. And of course, we've also hired, she hasn't started yet, but we've hired a event person, event manager, who's going to take over the events from Catellis. Again, it's someone I know, and she does a phenomenal job, and I'm really excited to have her come on board. She's going to start the 15th. It may take her a day or two to get up to speed, but after that, she'll be fine. We are trying to recruit more homeowners, and any of you that have some time and an interest in helping the community out, we have a recruitment committee that I'll talk about in a little bit that would love to be able to talk to you and say, hey, we've got a spot for you, what are you interested in, and things along that line. Our committees are incredibly important to us. No one can run this community without those committees. We have to have their help and their input. So if there's anything, I'll go through the list of the committees we have. If there's anything you have any interest in, let us know. You can even tell them as you're walking out the door, or email me, or things along that line. Let's see. And of course, as you know, we are probably towards the end of next year, we're going to be transitioning from declarant control to residential control. We have a transition committee, which is one of the largest committees I've ever worked with, number-wise, who are really, really concentrating on making sure that this transition works seamlessly, smoothly, and we accomplish everything we want to accomplish. I've been through one transition before, and one of the things that we noticed with the declarant and the documents that were written under their control is the way the documents read, there were certain things that only they could do. And if we didn't catch that and correct it, there would have been a number of things that the association could not do because it wasn't in the document. So that's all part of the transition. They're looking at how the organization should be set up and things along that line. And we are going to start a process. We do it often, but not all the time, not on a continual basis, but we're going to start a system where we're going to inspect all of our parks, especially the playgrounds, on a very regular basis. We're going to have a list of things that need to be taken care of, checklist, and this way we'll be able to keep up with any potential problem before it becomes a problem. Okay, and so there's one committee missing off of here, but we have a pool committee, a landscape committee, budget and finance, recruitment, transition, and row home. And the row home committee was volunteers who were appointed, but as of this year, they have been quote unquote elected. We had enough people to fill, but not over enough people to fill the openings on that committee, so we didn't have to have an actual election. But other than 2 people, we have a brand new slate of those committee members, and I'm looking forward to getting with them. They're all really excited about being able to help and be involved. Okay. The pool committee, they extended, if you hadn't noticed, they extended the pool hours from March through beginning of March to the end of November. Previously, they had cut off, and they had started in April and ended in October. We replaced the grates at Ella Wooten. Ella Wooten had these really cool metal grates, but unfortunately they got old and rusty, and their response time you can literally step through. So we replaced those grates, and we replaced them with stainless steel grates, which we have at John Gaines. They look brand new, and these new grates will last for a very, very long time. It was a really wise investment on the board's part. We're continuing our yoga, our water yoga and swim lessons. We replaced the gate reader this season at John Gaines because it kind of died on us. They were old. And we will replace the gate reader at Ella Wooten probably the very beginning of next year again before it goes into season. So we won't have any further problems with either of those. It's really lousy when your gate reader stops working in the middle of the swim season. We replaced the ADA chairs at both pools, so they're brand new. And we started a reserve fund for the pool group. That's what they use to pay to replace the grates that are out at Ella Wooten. And we'll continue. They've got a couple of other plans that they have in mind. They want to look at some shade structures or something along those lines. And as we continue contributing to the reserve and building that money up, they'll be able to get some other things done. Okay. Landscape Committee. They are one of my, well, I should say, I like working with all of our committees, but this group is,
Say it out loud.
again, dry humor. This group is really fun to work with. They are all very, very intelligent. I've learned so much about them. And we have Roger and Sean attend the meetings, and we get a lot of stuff accomplished with them. A lot of great advice from them. But they did their second annual Earth Day event, and that worked out really well. We had a bunch of people out there. The most fun that I saw at that event was watching little kids, with the help of the urban dirt guys who volunteered, plant little shrubs in spots that they're their shrub. They're associations, but they planted them, and they come out and continuously look at the shrubs, seeing how they're doing and stuff like that. So it was really neat to see them doing that. They got excited about that. Plus, they got to take little plants home with them and things along that line. The trees we're replacing right now are 30-gallon trees. The Landscape Committee and Urban Dirt and Roger recommended those because 30-gallon trees, because of the size, will grow into a much larger tree very, very quickly. If we planted a larger tree specimen, it would take much longer to grow. So these things will catch up with the bigger trees very quickly. It was just a very good move on their part to do that. I'll show you the slide in a couple of minutes that Roger did for me as far as what trees we've replaced so far. Okay, so in case no one has noticed, we had a really horrible summer. It was hot and it was dry. The irrigation system we have out here in some cases is fairly old, as much as 10 years old, which means one, it's coming to the end of its natural useful life to begin with. You throw the heat and the dryness on top of it, it just exacerbated that. So it was just, we did a lot of landscape replacement this year, or irrigation replacement this year. Right now, to the tune, as of today, of $195,000. That's a lot of money, but it needed to be done. The other, not issue, but the other part of that is that the system we have set up is a 2-wire system, and no, I can't explain it to you. Roger can. If you're really interested, you can ask him. But it takes a lot of time to trace these wires because they go on forever to see where a break in a wire might be, so which means the next valve isn't working and things along that line. So there is a lot. It's not just simply a matter of replacing a controller, which we have to do, or replacing valves. There's a lot to it, a lot of labor involved in it. Urban Dirt has done really a very, very good job on this. Next year, hopefully we won't have to spend anywhere near as much money, but we have funds in there to spend when we need to. But the idea behind this is get this stuff fixed, get it, I mean, trees especially. We've got to get these trees irrigated. And this past summer when we had no water, understand irrigation systems do not replace rain. They're supplemental. So we did as much as we could. With potable water, we were under the same city restrictions as everyone else. Luckily, in our open areas, our parks and things like that, we have non-potable water, we have grayish water, and those we can irrigate a little bit more often. But again, it's not a replacement. So with the work that we've done this year, I'm anticipating we're going to have a much better operating and functioning irrigation system next year. You're always going to have breaks. You have thousands of miles of piping and things like that. But what we've done this year will really help moving forward. just go to the next slide. I want to show you this because this Roger put together for me and I was really impressed with it. Again. Okay, so these pins that are on this slide are the killed trees from the ice storm that we have replaced. And I believe there were 30 of them. So we had in Urban Dirt, when they did the tree cut down from the storm, what they did, which helped us out tremendously and gave them the opportunity to do it a lot quicker than any other community, instead of filling up a trailer and hauling it off and going to a dump site with 100 other people waiting in line to be able to dump the stuff and come back, we worked out a deal with them where they took the trees to one of our open areas, they ground them down, they didn't have to leave the community, so as soon as they dumped, they were back out again, picking up more trees, more tree limbs and things along that line. So it greatly reduced the amount of time it took them to get these trees cut down, because some of them were honestly dangerous and they did a phenomenal job for us. I can guarantee you there is no other community in the area got taken care of as quickly as we did. Next slide. These are the trees we're in the process of planting right now. Now 30, does not count the ones on the previous slide, which were 30 of them that were frozen and damaged that way. These are either trees that have died because of the heat, because of just age and things like that, disease, or that were missing, cut down and not replaced. I don't know if you could really see it, but that top group up there, these pins are so close to each other, one on top of each other, you really can't count them. But I believe there are 87 trees that are being replaced with this slide in both the row home areas, which they started with, and then the open space and common areas. And we have more trees to go. Okay. Budget and Finance Committee, they asked a lot of really great questions that I have to answer. So I try to be prepared for that. They held a work session to educate themselves on a reserve study. What it does, how it works, how it's factored in, how the numbers are figured out. They actually had one of our reserve specialists who did the last reserve study we had virtually come in and talk to them and explain the process to them. They monitor the budget constantly. I report to them on a quarterly basis. Our variance report, where we're over budget, where we're under budget, and things along that line. They advise the master board, and that's what all these committees are. They're advisory committees. They don't have budget, they don't make decisions. They advise the master board on what they would like to see done, and then the master board is the one that makes the final determination. But they did that. We had some surplus funds from 22 that we rolled over into 23, and they advised roughly how they wanted those funds spent. A number of it was landscape, so the landscape committee also had an advisory role in that also. And they, as always, they helped develop the master board budget for this year, for 24, and next year we're going to have them involved with that whole process. There's a lot of very, very intelligent people on that committee, and it's helpful. Okay. The recruitment committee, and this is the one I said, if you have any interest in joining any committees, get with them. First of all, they helped us put together all updated charters for each of our committees. So they're all consistent, and each committee does something a little bit different, but the base of how these committees are set up is all consistent. They have liaisons from that group to each committee chair. So if they want to know if the landscape committee needs people or if they need help with something, that liaison will contact the landscape committee chair, talk to them, and report back to the recruitment committee. They try and work with events that we have and things like that, so they can have a recruiting table out there. If anybody's interested, they have charter information, what the committees are, what they do, and they can go ahead and help people get on. And they have expanded, or they're going to expand from 5 people to 7, so we have openings on that committee if anyone's interested. Okay. Transition committee. Karen Sharp is the chair of the transition committee, and she does such a phenomenal job. I really enjoy working with her. And again, she wasn't able to be here tonight, but there were a series of recommendations that were made by the committee, accepted by the board. One of them, for example, was to have the the row home committee elected members as opposed to just appointed. They work with both mixed use and ECTC as far as having the elections. They had the first two property owners, they helped get the first two property owners elected to the master board. So you do have two property owners, Joe Denton being one, Karen being the other, who are residents out here or on the master board. The board did not have to open those positions as quickly as they did, but they saw the advantage of doing so, and they thought it was the right thing to do, so they did so. Let's see. With the transition, the POA may or may not use a different attorney, so they are in the process of interviewing attorneys to see who they think fits in well with this becoming a resident-controlled community. They drafted a DEIA statement that will be reviewed by and approved by the board. It was sent out to the residents for their review. Most of the comments we've gotten back are good. One of the things about Mueller is we are interested, honestly interested in diversity and inclusion and acceptance. So we want to make it part of our documents that this is what we're about. This is part of what we're about. And they're working with a consultant that is helping them through the transition. I mean, transition is a huge, massive process, and you need help. You can't just have residents do it all. They need some guidance and direction, and that's what this consulting group is doing. And one of the things that they're really looking at right now is what is the structure of this resident board going to look like? And what is the governance that this resident board is going to have? So that's all that they're working on. There's quite a bit. Okay, this is simply a slide showing that we are at 90%. We are going to basically have, correct me if I'm wrong, a resident control board. Right now, this is the number of properties sold to residents, the percentage. And right now we are at 79.4%, so we're getting there. There's a lot of projected sales for next year, so that's why we're anticipating that the control not necessarily will be turned over, but will be available and for the residents for a board election the fourth quarter of next year. Okay. God, there's a lot of slides. This is the next, the next priorities for the transition committee. Again, hiring an attorney, make recommendations on the management structure. They've got a subgroup that's putting together communications about what the committee is doing so we can get out to our residents so they have a better understanding of what's happening here. There is a city-run or city-organized video that is going to document the history of Mueller. They'll be involved with helping with that. We're going to do, even though these people that will probably end up on the board have been involved with different committees and things along that line, but we need to do a very robust and intense orientation for the board, because there are many opportunities for a board to slip up if they don't have the proper knowledge and guidance based upon the state laws, and we don't want that to happen. One of my main functions is to keep the board on a straight and narrow path and make sure that they're legal with what they decide. The orientation is going to be incredibly important to them, for they have all the knowledge that they need. They will continually be educated, if you will, but we want to do a good orientation. They're going to finalize policies and recruit to fill the new board. Okay. Row home committees. Can I avoid the roof thing? Again, we've had another storm, and what was really ironic to me about that storm is Saturday we replaced the roofs on 2 row home units. storm came through on Sunday and absolutely pulverized those roofs. They kind of weren't settled and things like that. That's how bad it got. It was really, really intense. But anyway, so we're working through the normal process of, working with the insurance companies. They have finished, to the best of my knowledge, their inspections. They've done like a follow-up deal. We're waiting for them to put a report together and get it to us, and then we'll start the process of figuring out how all of that works. It's not going to happen overnight. I don't believe it's going to take as long as the first one did. We have a much better, more proactive insurance company. I mean, Travelers had people on site 2 days, just to kind of get us a lay of the land, on site 2 days after that storm hit. So they were very, very responsive to us. Of course, the committee helps with the row home budget. We have a tiered assessment for the row homes, depending on the size of the units. So they help discuss that and understand how those tiers work. And they always provide feedback to the transition committee on row home related items. Okay. Now I'm going to ask people to stand up, and I don't honestly know if most of them are here because I have not met most of them, but this is the new row home committee, and they are really, really enthused and excited. Peter, are you here? Great. Thank you. Ashley? Ashley's here. Great, thank you. Shirley Hammond? Okay. Michael Jones? Christina Mary?
She just left.
So she had to leave early, I think.
Yeah.
Elaine Sanders?
She's stuck in traffic.
And William Troy. Nice to meet you, William. I've had a couple of discussions with William above and beyond the row home thing, but I'm really, really excited about this group. It's good to get fresh eyes. Now, Kathy is going to remain with the group to kind of guide and help them out, but it's good to get some fresh eyes, and I'm really excited about being able to start working with them and getting them going and see where they can take us. So all of you, thank you very much. Okay, Hailstorm. We have provided a series of emails out to the row homeowners with as much information as we know right now as we can possibly provide. It's frustrating on my end for someone to ask me, what more can you tell me? Because I'd like to be able to have something more to tell them right now, but I simply don't. We are providing the information that we have at the moment, so we're keeping everybody as up to date as possible. For example, when we first started working the process with Travelers, we were under the understanding that they were not going to replace windows, that was the homeowner's responsibility. We have since then learned that that is not the case, that windows will be replaced as part of the storm damage. We didn't know that when we sent the first emailer out. We knew it. The second one went out on, I think, October 23rd. That's where we provided that information. So again, as we get additional information, as it's updated, where we know what we're saying is correct, we will continue to produce that information. Again, Travelers, they came out here real quick. When they had the adjusters out here to do the inspections, they had an army out here. There was not just one group doing everything. They had multiple groups looking at everything. They obviously looked at the roof, but they also looked at the properties as far as siding damage, gutters, windows, things along that line. So they had a very good understanding of what was involved. Also, we have homeowners calling us up and say, hey, I've got a broken window. I don't know if they know this. Please, what can I do about it? We're compiling a list of all those requests, putting it in a spreadsheet, and we'll get it out to Travelers when the time is appropriate. So if anybody has or anyone knows of damage that they don't know whether it was reported or not, email it to me and I will put it on the list. Loss assessment. Your homeowner's insurance policy should be able to provide you with what's called loss assessment coverage. It is relatively inexpensive. Obviously, I can't say how much because it varies from company to company, but it will basically help. There is, let's just put this out there, there is going to be another deductible. It will be handled differently. It's not going to be folded in because this is a new claim. It's not going to be folded in with the assessments, but it will be done as a special assessment separate, which will make it much, much easier. These loss assessment policies through your homeowner's insurance can help cover, I don't know, 100%, but quite a bit of that cost. So please, if you're a homeowner and you don't have it, please get it. Again, we're continually putting this information out there so everybody understands what they can do to help themselves out. We don't like charging people a whole bunch of money. It's just, unfortunately, sometimes the nature of what we do. We don't have time frames for when this work is going to be started. I have had people calling me up saying, what day are you going to start on my roof? Honestly, I don't know yet. But again, as soon as we have that information, we'll let you all know. Like I said, windows and window screens are covered, and we'll share additional information as soon as we have it. Okay, this is the exciting part. I'm going to kind of step away a little bit more. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because, again, all of this will be available for you to review on your own at your own time. This is the 2023 budget versus actual through the month of September. So you can see in most cases we are in the 65 to 70% range, which means that we're close to where we need to be at this time of the year. The one area that we look really low on, but is not, it's an illusion, is the landscaping and parks at 59%. The reason it is so low as of the end of September is because, again, we were dealing with frozen trees that took priority for a couple of months, and we're dealing with a horrendous summer heat and dryness where we couldn't go out and plant stuff because it would all die anyway. So we're kind of in a rush deal right now making up for it. So you will see that percentage increase. We're going to spend everything we possibly can spend for our landscaping, especially the trees, because we know, one, how important it is to our residents, and one, how critical, and two, how critical it is to the community itself. Not the residents of the community, but the community. So we will be catching up with that. All in all, we are in very good shape as far as being close to on budget for the end of the year. Next. Okay. Now this is next year's budget. You might want to notice the next to the last line item, lake landscape and parks, 48% of the annual budget for the Master Association. Now this is not strictly urban dirt. This is anything related to it. You know, we have ponds that have to be taken care of, things along that line, maintenance that is done to the parks and everything, that is all in this category. But you can obviously see that landscaping is the highest amount that you spend, or highest percentage of the cost of this association. And that, especially with large communities, that's true all over. The rest of it is just, you know, basic, what it takes us to manage this community day in and day out. Okay? And this part of the presentation, the budget part, will be put also separately on Town Square. So again, you can look at it. If you don't mind.
I just wanted to know what the sources of revenue were.
That is mainly assessments.
Of residents only, or also?
Residents. Well, yeah, it's assessments. It's when a house sells, there is a fee that is charged that goes into a kitty for us. There's transfer fees, working capital, and things like that. That's also in it. We have a little bit in there for park use when somebody wants to rent a park. We have exercise groups out here that pay. So it's a variety of things.
But it's commercial and residential assessments.
Okay. This is the pool budget. Nothing major going on here other than I said if you look, there is a reserve amount in there. They've got some reserves left over from this year also. So that's what they'll be able to use as they build that up a little bit to do the other things that they would like to do, recommend it to the board. If the board approves it, we'll get it taken care of. Row homes, not surprisingly, the largest expense here is the insurance premiums. We were told this year to anticipate about a 15% increase.
15 or
15, 1-5. There was a year that I managed a condo community and their insurance premium did go up 50% one year, but no, not here. There again, you've got landscaping and money that we're contributing, that the residents are going to contribute into the reserves, and then where it's also going to be matched, not matched, but complemented with some funds that the master board will put into the reserves because of the phenomenal deal they did for this past hailstorm, where we have some excess funds, and we'll be able to use that to help build up the row home reserves. And the two smallest ones, cottages and the garden homes, there again, their major expense is related to landscaping. Okay, so the assessments for this year, or for next year, I'm sorry, 24. The Master Association is going to go up $3. And I realize there are other expenses involved, but that is really not a lot of money. And I don't mean to be crass or flippant about it, but it really, that's not a bad increase when you're considering, for example, our largest contract is our landscape contract. We have a multi-year landscape contract with them, but it does go up 3% each year. We've got inflation with everything we buy and things along that line. There are no increases for the ECTC, mixed use, or pool. The row home base assessment is actually going down a little bit. And the same for the shop homes. And then we have a small increase for the garden home and for the cottages. I just was a little surprised to see this here. You've already been introduced. You've already been introduced, all the board members. Again, this year we put 2 residential members on the master board. Again, understand that. You've got a developer that is still in control, wants to remain in control, wants to be able to control their destiny while they're in this community, but they had the foresight to understand that it's good to start developing their residential board by bringing members in now, so they understand how the master board works. And then the mixed-use board will have a meeting before, well, we have a meeting tonight to elect members no, mixed-use board is the one who elects members to the master board. And they will have a meeting later on this year to do that. Okay? God, I'm at the end. And I'm sorry, I'm probably drinking a while. What we're going to do right now, first of all, if there is anyone that needs to vote and has received a ballot, please fill it out and we will come and collect it. If you have any questions that you want to ask, go ahead and fill out those question cards and we'll collect those also. We can go through that. I did all the hard work now, and Brian gets the fun of handing out the gift cards. So Brian, if you would come up, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. That was a lot of really helpful, good information. I know it was a long presentation, but hopefully you all found it worthwhile. Again, my name is Brian DeLiesel. I'm the board chair for the master and for the mixed use. And where are our, here we are. And then do we have, who's going to be drawing?
Oh, Sandra, can you just real quick go get the basket for us?
So everyone who voted online and everyone who voted here this evening, or everyone who submitted a proxy, is eligible to win one of 10 prizes. I think they're listed up here in alphabetical order. I may not have them in alphabetical order here, so we'll go through the $50 each. We tried to focus on our local businesses. especially places like Colleen's Kitchen. Thank you, Ashley. I know people are going to be excited about that one. And so, let's have everyone on the mixed-use board help
Okay.
draw.
Oh, yeah.
If I draw my name, I'm getting all of them.
This one is for Marafuku.
Nancy McKay, I believe.
And you do not need to be present to win, by the way. Should have said that at the top.
Put the name on.
I'm sorry, I just need to say something real quick. You're either going to get real gift cards or fake ones. If you get fake ones, it's because we bought them online. And what I need you to do is, if you get one of those, it's just a piece of paper in there with the information. Write your name on it and your address, and get it to me. I'll take them. And then once I know who's won those cards, we'll go ahead and send you the email so you can access them.
If you want to look at the cards, we'll take care of the
Oh.
drawings. Oh, you already drew?
Yeah.
Excellent. What's the name?
Dan McAtee.
I don't see Dan here. I don't see Dan here this evening. But Dan won a $50 gift card to Loco d'Oro. Keep the slips together. All right, the next one is for Alamo Draft House, another $50. Joe, if you don't mind drawing.
It's blank.
Is it?
Cynthia Herma?
Cynthia Herma. Cynthia here? All right, well, I'll make sure that she gets her gift card, though.
Can I interrupt you for one quick second, sir?
Yes.
Do I
Here.
have
Here you go, Joe.
two volunteers?
Joe.
Oh, I can speak loud. Do I have two volunteers who would like to help count votes? Now, this is not a huge effort because most of the votes came in electronically. They've already been counted. The ones that were emailed were already counted. It's just these few that we have to add to it. But I would like someone to take a look at the votes, make sure that they are comfortable with it. Yes, ma'am? One other person, please? Yes, sir. Come out with me, please.
Okay, well, that's going on. We'll continue with the drawing. We've got the next one for Aviator Pizza and Draft House. Jessica?
I think this is Dustin Kim. The letters are a little cut off.
Dustin Kim? Dustin here? All right, well, add that to the list. The next one is for Rebel Cheese. Sergio?
Joey Sa,
Joey Saw?
TSA.
Okay, well, we'll get it to him. Okay, you want to draw a number or name? I'm good.
Too small.
Hold on a second. Okay, this is for Colleen's Kitchen. And who is it, Faye?
Christopher, WOJTEWIC.
Christopher W.
That's awesome.
Thank you. All right, Kaz is the winner. Next one is for Veracruz. Go ahead, Greg.
Christina Jones.
Christina Jones. Is Christina here? All right. Thank you. Leah, who's our next winner?
Excuse me, Brian. We had a little glitch in our system. The people that just now voted did not fill out those separate sheets so they could be put in the drawing. So can I get them to do that real quick?
Yes.
Then we'll
Yeah.
get some in.
Okay.
Okay, if you voted tonight and handed in your ballot, please come with me for a second.
So we will hold. I think we're taking a pause on the drawings for a second.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, we also want to encourage people to do the online voting as well, so I understand the concern there. I'm going to go ahead and see if we, while we're waiting for that, if we can advance a couple things here, move us along. So this is just providing some contact information. Again, all these slides will be available on Town Square tomorrow. So you can access this, but if you have a phone number that you want to call to for the after hours line, making sure everyone understands, and hopefully you are registered on Town Square. If you're not registered on Town Square, please use the generic email address, millerpoa@associa.us, and Tatenda or Joe or someone on the team can help you get set up on there very easily. And I'll go ahead and, in the interest of time, move forward. I'm going to do the development slides, unless Joe, is there, are we?
Just a couple more minutes. I would go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to breeze through this. Again, this information will also be online beginning tomorrow. I'll start with kind of where we are to date. We have about 2,000 single-family homes completed. Another 2,300 or so apartments are completed. And about 10,500 people are living in Mueller. That number may be a little bit low, maybe a little bit higher at this point, but close to that number. On the commercial side, we have about 627,000 square feet of retail that's completed already. Almost 2 million square feet of commercial and institutional space. About 8,100 employees are supposed to be working at Mueller, although I would imagine some of them are still working at home from time to time. And that number, 40 eateries, is actually outdated. We now have 50 eateries at Mueller. And Chewy's is coming soon, I promise. We have 9 parks completed, and another one is going to be opening here shortly. And then upon completion, we'll have almost 7,000 homes and apartments, 140 acres of green space, 2.3 million square feet of office, and about 750,000 square feet of retail. The other one Miller has done. Real quickly, we've added a lot of businesses to Aldrich Street in the past year. We've got, like Chewy's and others, are coming to Emily Bridge Park. In the Alpha building, we've added a lot of new businesses, including Marufuku, Sweet Greens, Austin Eye Studio is actually now open. Blue Lacy opened in the Origin Hotel, and of course Veracruz and Aviator opened earlier. This is an old slide. My apologies, I thought this was all updated, maybe not. This is an old, this is last year's presentation. Well, we will get you the new one. And not a whole lot has changed. We're still obviously building section 11. 371 homes. The Austin Modern Lofts, the South project is actually now called Concourse. They have a name for it now. Still 90 units. I think the first folks will move in early next year. The Austin Modern Lofts North project, which is the one that's right here next to the Performing Arts Center, that's called Iris now. That also has 39 units. Some of them are affordable. Parkside, obviously, more construction's been done since then. 200 units with about 5,000 square feet of retail, plus some for sale ground floor office space. Again, Ryan Companies is, we've got some pictures that show more of an update on it, but 345 units. Also anticipate first move-ins in the first quarter of next year. Emily Branch Park now has quite a few residents living in it now. They're leasing currently 23,000 square feet of retail space, including Chewy's, Modern Animal Veterinary Services, Hop Dotty, and Honest Mary's are the 4 coming there so far. It's now no longer called Emily Ivy. It's now called Emily Park North. 326 units that are located kind of across Aldrich Street from Emily on Aldrich. Middle school is now open. 6th grade is what's there now. With each year, they'll be adding a new grade to the school. And teacher retirement system, about 1,000 employees total will live here when it's all completed. Will work here when it's all completed, I should say. And they have a number of people that have already started moving in. Jim Dale has completed their medical office building in the process of leasing that space. and we won't worry about that right now. Let's get through some of this. Metro Rapids coming in 2025. I will talk just real briefly about the 3 parks, and there's more information in, of course, the correct set of slides for tomorrow. But the Section 11 park is now named Isamu Taniguchi Park. It's named after the person who created the botanical gardens in Zilker Park. It has a very fascinating, interesting history to him. That park is going to open on December 12th. Everyone is invited to that. It'll be a Tuesday morning event. It's a neat space that McCann Adams Studio has put together for that block that's bordered by Taniguchi and Margarita Street. There's 2 other parks that are in the works or about to be in the works. One is Eva Carrillo de Garcia Park. That's located on the southern part of Zach Scott near the school. That'll be a pretty extensive park that will have really more open field than anything else. The school has built tennis courts. We're building a basketball court that will also have lines on there, so you can play up to 2 petanque games at a time. You have to bring your own net for that. I'm sorry, pickleball, not petanque. I've been thinking about petanque lately for a different issue. Anyway, that's going to be part of the park, as well as some covered grandstands. You can watch people play basketball and pickleball. And so that's coming soon. And then we'll hopefully break ground in Q1, I believe, for the plaza over by the tower. That'll have kind of a neat elevated space. There'll be a paseo that will connect to John Gaines Park and the community gardens that are located there. You'll still be able to see the tower from that distance. And as you walk along the paseo, it'll kind of curve around and elevate up a little bit, and it has some neat stairs and a lot of landscaping and a lot of trees for that space. So I won't worry about the events, but I will tell you about a couple that are coming up. And then just a reminder of how you can stay connected. If you're not getting our monthly newsletter called Livewire, it's really easy to subscribe to that. You just go to milleraustin.com, subscribe, and you just enter your name and your email address, and you'll start getting that monthly piece. If you're also not getting the Messenger, which is a weekly newsletter that the POA puts out, please make sure that you contact Joe or Jatenda. We'll get you added to that list. We try to put as much information in there. Sometimes it's POA related, sometimes it's about new openings, sometimes it's about events, etc. And then we're of course on Facebook and Instagram for both Miller and for Aldridge Street. I will just tell you real quickly in terms of events. On December 1, we are doing which is a Friday evening, we are doing the tower lighting again. This year it's going to be a little bit different because John Gaines Park has some beautiful mature trees now. They kind of block the view of the tower that used to be quite open. So we're going back to Lake Park in the amphitheater to host that. And we're going to have a large screen in the shade structure, and we're going to people will be able to view the tower lighting from that location. We have Councilmember Kadri who's going to help us kick off the season. We've got a band from McAllen High School that's going to be doing some seasonal activities, and then
East Austin Drumline's coming back for like the 15th year in a row or something.
Yeah, the drumline's going to help get everything going, and then we'll have some specials going on from some of the Aldridge Street businesses. Minor Mishap is a local brass band that plays often with Honk, ATX, that's coming to also do some cool things for the holidays. So that's, again, on Friday, December 1st, beginning at 6 p.m. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Quick question. You said that Metro was coming in 2025, you said?
Yes, Metro Rapid service is coming. We have now, I think, 6 bus routes that either go through or around Miller, and those I think are going to continue or maybe replaced by these 2 Metro Rapid lines that will go along Berkman Drive. One starts at in East Austin, kind of over by Colony Park area, and then we'll come through Miller and go all the way to downtown to Republic Square. The other one will actually start at Miller and go through East Austin and end at Park and Ride, the Capital Metro's building in Goodnight Ranch. That also will connect to their blue line, which is the line that will be the rail line that go out to the airport. But that's all coming in 2025 now. They originally were going to do it in 2023. I think they've had some just issues with funding, and you probably have seen that they have installed the the bus stops for those locations, and there's a little bit more work that needs to be done for those shelters, but they're close, and they'll have that ready for 2025.
The first
On
shelter was
Tillery
this
Street?
past week.
No, all of Metro Rapid is going to be on Burke Drive.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Joe, where are we on?
It's in there, I think. The new names are in there.
Oh, we have the new names in here. Okay, great. Don't mix up. Oh, there's lost one.
Mine, Leo had one name too.
We're gonna throw it back in.
They're right back in.
Brian and Leo had the name too.
Okay. Well, should we redraw?
Yeah.
You're legit? Okay.
Can't be the one person that was here.
What's the name?
Looks like, it looks like the name maybe cut off a little bit. Looks like Krista
Krista
Gregan
Gregan
or Gregory, I can't.
or Gregory? Krista? Oh, she won $50 to Sweet Green. Okay. Thank you. Am I taking? Okay. Sir, why don't you draw for us? We've got, I think, one more. Oh, yeah. Oh, Janet McCann. Janet McCann is in the McCann Adams studio, but she lives here in the community as well. She's won $50 to B.D. Riley's.
We know who's behind, yeah.
Yeah. And last but not least, sir, do you mind drawing one more for me? This is for HEB.
Do I have to turn my head or?
No.
They're this big. Your own name.
Cut off a little bit. David Tibets.
David Tibets?
Yeah, Tibets. The S is cut off.
Okay.
David Tibets.
Anyone recognize the name? Obviously, they're clearly not here, but we'll make sure that we get them the gift card to HEB. And I think that completes our drawings.
Hang on for a second. I don't remember. Do we announce the vote count?
I think you should turn out the door.
Okay, I do have the vote count, have the count of who won. Again, we had probably, with the added votes from tonight, probably close to 37% quorum. Again, our requirement is 25%. Again, thank you very much if you voted online. It makes life so much easier for us. It's accurate, it's secure, it's safe. So the two people who won the election to the Mixed Use Board was Andrew Clements and Joe Dent. Last thing I want to do is answer questions. I've gotten 5 cards back. If anyone hasn't turned one in, raise your hand quickly.
I did that, I'm sorry.
Because there were only 5 cards, it means one of 2 things. Either we provided a lot of good information to you, or I bored you into a state of almost coma.
When did you call for the comments?
I'm sorry?
When did you ask for it?
Okay, I've got some more now. Okay, the first one is someone is asking about sidewalk maintenance and trip hazards. We're dealing with a couple of areas here. Some of the sidewalks are maintained by the city. So I'm working with them, and they put things in sequence. So as soon as it's reported, it's put on a list. They can't tell me exactly when it's going to be taken care of, but I've got the list, and I call them up every so often, ask them if this has been done. If there are specific areas that you feel need to be maintained, please let me know, and I will put those on the list and get them to the city also.
Joe, can I ask, it seems advantageous to put those into 311.
Yes, that can be done also, but I'm more than happy to do that for you all too. And sometimes, to be honest with you, they sometimes get a little bit tired of hearing from me. So if a resident wants to do it, and if you guys want to do it, and then let me know, I'll do it also, and it'll just hopefully get their attention.
If you have the app, you can even geolocate and take a photo, which helps them.
I will tell you that in most cases, not in every case, but in most cases, a sidewalk issue has to be 2 inches or taller or higher before the city will take action. That's what they consider their point of, yeah, it needs to be fixed. Yes, sir.
So they did come out and fix the sidewalk in front of my house, but they just came out with a dry pack. So
That's their
basically,
temporary solution.
they fixed the sidewalk that is sunk down. And all they did was put the dry pack, which also immediately washed out. Is that something, I mean, the sidewalk needs to be level. Is that something that would be the city? Or is that city?
That may have been a temporary, try a temporary fix until they can get it done properly. If you would go ahead and let me know, I'll find out about that. All right, next question. Is there currently an annual preventative maintenance plan in place for the row homes? It is not a detailed, written out plan, but one of the things and one of the reasons we're trying to hire this row home manager is that person will go out on a very regular basis, look at all the properties, walk around them, check out what's going on, see what needs to be done with them, and report them back to us. Right now, we do it as often as we can. In some ways, we tend to be a little bit reactive on that when people call us up or email us about an issue and a complaint. We'll then get it to Tom, and if he can, he will take care of it. If not, we'll get someone else to do it. But once we have this person in place, just like I had mentioned about the park inspections that we're going to be doing regularly with a checklist and all that, once we have this person in place, one, because it'll free me up a little bit more, I can do some of this. Two, because that will be one of their responsibilities. We'll be able to do this on a more regular basis and keep up with things. I understand, and I'm not going to skirt around it. There are some issues with responses related to Town Square, but that is still the most effective way to get things to us, because we get dozens and dozens, and I'm speaking for myself, of emails every day, a lot of phone calls, and it's easier to lose track of them than through Town Square, because we can always go back to that property and see what the request was. I can talk to Tom, hey, have you taken care of this one, if it's something he's doing, and move forward from there. Again, one of my goals of this year is to do a much better job. We've improved on it, but do a still better job on responding to these issues. So Town Square is still the best way to get to us. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I understand it may be the best resource we have, and that's okay. But could we change some processes with it? Like, as soon as I enter something, it comes back, it's closed. It just says closed, like the next day. And it provides no feedback. I don't know, are you going to accept this? Are you going to look at it? Did you look at it? What's going to happen? It's just closed, and there's no documentation anywhere, so you're just in the dark.
I am not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but I will tell you, and this is the honest truth, and I'll say it in front of the VP of Associa, there are times when our list gets a little long, and it does because we have so much going on, that they have one of their CSC people, their customer service people, will go through and close out what they feel are old requests. And we were trying to get that straightened out. It's not a perfect system by any stretch of the imagination. And if you have one of those situations, then go ahead and email me on it so I can review it and look at it. I don't Tatenda is the main one who starts this process. If it's a maintenance request, she gets it to Tom. If it's a landscape request, she gets it to Roger. If it's something other than that that I have to deal with, she'll get it to me. But again, if you don't get a satisfactory response from any of us in at the very, very most a week period, email me directly, please. Yes?
In regards to the person you're going to be onboarding, I understand when moving here to the community that there was already sort of a system in place of block leaders or
Block captains.
block captains. Is that any way of funneling townhome or row home information down to then and to the organized manner?
That's just volunteers.
Yeah, the best way is to get to management. It absolutely is. The block captains are great. They do a lot in their communities, but that's not their function, if you will. It's more of not a social function, but just trying to keep people engaged and informed and things along that line. Yes?
I just want to follow up on the town square. If you do submit on town square, should the person that is submitting their request, whatever thing it falls under, should you anticipate communication to come back through town square? Or what should you be looking for? Because it's really easy to submit it, sometimes it gets closed, or it stays open for as long as nobody looks at it. Or maybe they do look at it, and maybe they respond in a different way. I guess my question is just, if I do use that, what should I anticipate my next step being? Or what the reciprocal from the subject?
What it should be is at a point in time, you should get a response from someone.
Through the app?
Yes.
Through the platform, or like a text, a phone call, and email?
There's an opportunity for us to make comments on town square, and a comment could be, it's been taken care of, the tree's been trimmed, whatever it is, the window trim has been replaced or something along that line. Obviously, you would also know that, but the issue we have is the reason some of these items stay open for so long is because and I'm not trying to make excuses, I'm really not, but we have so many of them. We concentrate our time on moving them forward as opposed to always going back and looking at them and getting them taken care, getting them closed out once it's been done. I'm working with Tom and Roger on getting a better system in place where the information is provided back to us so we can respond like that. Because I mean, Roger or Tom may go out and take care of 5 items, and if he doesn't, not that he doesn't tell me, but if we don't get together and discuss these a week later or 2 weeks later, you know, that's why I'm working on this. We need to do a better job of keeping the internal communications going so we can respond back to you.
Thank you.
Yes?
I was wondering, since the associate has apparently several positions open for jobs, whether you might reach out to residents to let them know those jobs are available and maybe give a first shot to residents. I think it's nice to have people who live here and know the neighborhood doing work here. Would that be something?
I mean, we do put out as much communication as we can. But again, we're trying to compare that to the work that we have on hand, to the things we have to take up. Let me think about that. Let me.
I just mean hiring from the neighborhood, local hiring.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah. Let me figure that out. Thank you. Okay. I want to ask this one because I know it was already answered, but I was out of the room at the time. When is Chewy's opening?
What's that?
When is Chewy's opening?
Definitive date.
Okay.
Hopefully the end of the first quarter of next year. Hopefully. They're under construction.
Spring 2024.
Okay, the next question is a yard home had a tree damaged by a car accident, and you'd be amazed at how many times cars run into trees and walls and fences. It happens all the time. There was no insurance information gathered. One of the things, and no, we don't replace those trees. That is going to be up to the homeowner to do it when you're talking about a yard home. But one of the things you should always do if those type of situations happen, call 311, tell the police department about it, because if they were involved in any way, shape, or form, there would be a report. And if there is a report, it will provide you with the car insurance information, which will give you the opportunity to then ask the insurance company to reimburse you for the tree. This one's asking about how, if there's information provided on how the assessments are calculated. For anyone other than a row home, it's very simple. It is the master assessment, the mixed use assessment, the pool assessment. That's basically what, right now it's coming out to about $58 a month. If it's a row home, it's a little bit more detailed because of the tiers and things along that line. Plus, obviously, the row home people pay more because their property, the exterior of their properties are maintained, they get landscaping, all of that. We have produced and will continue to produce and make available to everyone the tier system, which is based on the square footage of the house. But again, so that's the best way to, that's how the assessments are calculated. So you'll have that information available. Again, I know it's on Town Square already, but it will be put back out on Town Square, so anybody can go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, I've answered a couple of these questions already. And again, we will be painting some additional row homes. But what we do is we look at the row homes, see which ones need to be painted, we look at what we have for our budget, and then we go forward from there. As far as other types of repairs, as much as I hate to say it, because we don't have someone doing regular inspections right now, which we will, the best way to do it is get with us. I mean, Tom is phenomenal in how much he can accomplish in a very short period of time. So once we get it on his radar, I know it'll be taken care of. We always ask for someone to provide us a phone number when they're reporting on work to be done, because that's the way Tom gets in touch with them, because in a lot of cases, he'll have to either get into the property or meet with them and things like that. So if you provide us with name, address, phone number, we'll get it to Tom, he will get back with you, and we'll move forward from there. Okay, will you be reimbursing row homeowners who have paid out of pocket for windows and things like that from the storm? We will not, but the insurance company will. And exactly how that process is working. Anytime somebody has called me up, hey, I've got a broken window, I've got to get it taken care of, I say two things. Please take pictures just in case and keep your receipts. Don't send them to me now because I don't want to get 50 receipts over the course of 2 or 3 months. Hang on to them, we'll call for them at a point in time and turn them into the insurance company. What plans does Urban Dirt have for landscaping the row homes in 2024? We've done some early in the year, we've done some recently, and we will continue. We have what we call an enhancement fund for the row homes, where we use those funds, they're budgeted, to go out and do some additional landscaping. It's more or less up to the landscape company and Roger to kind of determine what's needed on specific properties based upon what they look like at that time. So that's what we are doing. And again, I keep saying this, and even though we know we have some issues, Town Square is the best way to report this stuff to us. But again, if you send an email to Tatenda, you send an email to me, it's related to landscaping, I read it briefly and then send it to Roger. And he and the folks from Urban Dirt will review it, take care of what needs to be taken care of, and go from there. And this one's talking about lowering row home assessments. Again, we did show the slide that they are going down a little bit for 24.
Hold on. So, when you showed that slide, that was at $13, right?
Yes.
And then before the over 50% increase, the figure went up about, was it 60 or 70%?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You have the, well, let me just look at it.
In 2021, it was like $140.
Mm-hmm.
For 2022, it went up to about $200.
How am I doing? So you had a slide up here that says, in 22, it was $143, and now it went up to $283, and now you're saying it's coming down to $270.
Again, between that period of time, the row home people were paying the deductible from the storm. That started in 22 and it continued to 23. That increase, that big increase, was not an assessment increase, it was to cover the deductible from the first hailstorm.
So then that means it would go back to the 143.
The reason it's going down a smaller amount is because we are working on building up the reserves for the row home community, which they are low on right now. And it's critically important for us to build up those reserves. And again, there's going to be money put into it by the association also based upon what we were able to get from the insurance company on the claim. But
And then the master fee goes up $3.
yes,
So we had, does any of that money end up in the reserve for the row?
no, it doesn't end up in reserve for the row home, but some of that money ends up in the reserve for the master.
Why is the row home paying for the master?
Everybody.
Everyone does.
The reserve is 25% currently of the budget. Isn't that pretty high for a reserve amount? What's the expectation on what you need for a reserve amount? Let's get your own slide.
Each group has to have a certain level of reserves except for our smaller neighborhoods because there are always facility things that need to be done in those groups. So like when we do major repairs on a house or things along that line, that may come out of reserves instead of coming out of operating because that's what that money is put aside for.
Example is the ADA chairs.
Target for a reserve, 25% is pretty high.
Joe, don't the auditors do the
What is your time?
If you want to get with me later, I mean, we've got the budget set. It was done over months worth of work with a lot of input from a lot of different people. And the board has the right to set the budget. They were very, very conscientious this year about what they're trying to do. And again, they will be putting some additional money into the reserves. We've got to build the reserve up for the row homes. There's nowhere near enough money in that reserve for the things that will need to be done, taken care of, without us adding to it. So we're going to have the residents add to it and us add to it.
Joe, isn't that study on Town Square, the reserve study?
Yeah, the reserve study.
The reserve study's on Town Square.
You can see it.
Yeah, so if someone wants to look at the reserve study, there's information in there explaining how much each group, the master, the row homes, should have set aside for reserves each year.
And I just want to point out that we have not mentioned anything about the foundation. I've been here for like 2 hours. So just, I don't know why. Why have you said anything about the foundation? Why is it Mueller Foundation?
What foundation?
I'm sorry, who again?
Like the Mueller
The
Foundation?
Mueller Foundation.
That's the
That's the group that works with the affordable homeowners.
Right. Aren't they called the Mueller Foundation?
Yes.
And-
So
and-
anyways, in the totality of the WAAO conversation, there's no mention of the Mueller Foundation.
And that is defined, if you will, by the tiered assessment rates.
But does that apply to all row homeowners?
Yeah.
It covers the entire gamut of row homeowners, affordable and market rate. The affordable row homeowners are generally in the smaller houses. So generally tiers 1 through 4 are affordable, and that's part of the foundation.
So anyways, but just at one point in time in the conversation with the foundation, we had a 100% increase in the premium. There was a clear message that it would go down over time. So it's accurate to say, for anyone else that's in the foundation, that the amount that is going to go down is roughly like 5% a year, 10% a year, over how many years. I mean, I feel like that's a thing that was told to people that were in the foundation, that were homeowners, and it has never, ever been like
I'm sorry, that's not a good discussion we can have right now.
I'm a road lender, I'm also on the budget committee. I can have to go like POA between the budget committee and the railroad.
Sure, yeah.
I have some answers to those questions, so.
Hi, Brian again. Let me just say, I know that the process of row home budget and row home insurance and row home reserves is very, very complex and complicated. And I understand you're one of our new row home committee members, correct?
Right, and the reason I'm on the committee is because Francis, Phyllis asked about getting
Right.
from the POA program in the thing. I didn't really know like why we were supposed to be here. I didn't know my name was going to be in that slide. I actually responded back to the email that Joe sent out asking like what the purpose was of us being here on the road committee, and I just never heard back. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
why
just
it
to,
seems like I'm a little bit out of order.
well, no, you know everything. I just want to clarify just a couple things. Miller Foundation is a separate 501c3 nonprofit organization that manages the Affordable Homes Program on behalf of the project. They're not necessarily associated with the Property Owners Association. However, it's probable, as Francie Ferguson, who is a member of the Mixed Use Board and is not here this evening, that is part of her efforts to engage more affordable homeowners into the management process of this community, that she was trying to recruit additional affordable homeowners to join. So she probably put in her newsletter or in an email directly to you or to others as she's been talking to folks, say, hey, please get involved. And so maybe from a miscommunication standpoint, the assumption was when you submitted your name to Joe or contacted Francie and Francie contacted Joe or however it happened, the assumption was that you were interested in serving on the row home committee for the Property Owners Association. If that's not correct, we'll figure that out.
No, that's correct. I was just wondering if there's any part of this discussion about the row homes or anything at all tonight that's like touching on the foundation, but I guess it's just not here. I've only spoken to her on the phone, so I actually don't know what she looks like.
No, because the Miller Foundation is a separate organization, it's not part of this evening's discussion. Property Owner Association is a separate organization where we have everything that we've kind of discussed is the stuff that we normally discuss at an annual meeting. That said, there are instances, like in the row home committee meeting that I think Joe's going to try to schedule for December, where there will be more conversations about the row homes specifically and the affordable homes program as it relates to row homes. And I think that's where some of your conversation can, we can have that discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got 2 more cards, and I want to go through them pretty quickly because we've got staff that works at the school that wants to go home. We're scheduled to be here until 8 o'clock tonight. And we went over what happens with the transition already. What through the transition committee and Catella's leaving, when they're done with being the declarant, we had a slide that had some information about that. And the other reason about calling SRT instead of 311, I'm not saying you shouldn't call 311, but I'm saying if it's an incident that's going on, if you call SRT, they're here. They can get where they need to be in about 5 minutes. They have limitations on what they can do. They are not a police force. They're not, they are a security force. They do work well with APD, but it's in a lot of cases, whatever the situation is, they can kind of calm things down, break it up, and move on from there. You don't have to call them 311 unless it's a real emergency, then 911 will work also. We don't know the salary yet for the ROHO manager. That's something we're working through right now. We haven't hired anyone yet. I'm not sure about the dogs rules. And I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading about the Southwest Greenway. I'm not sure if that's trails. The trails are maintained by the landscape group, and they repair them as they need to and things along that line. Okay, again, I don't mean to cut you short. I'm really amazed that you all are still here, and I appreciate it greatly. Thank you very, very much for coming. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this on the other meeting too. We are adjourned.
I moved to adjourn.
Thank you.
Joe, I just want to introduce myself.